Space? Space is insane. So insane that humans have constructed spacecrafts like the Voyager probes to help us get a better understanding of what the universe truly is. NASA started the Voyager project in hopes of gathering information from the furthest edges of our solar system. These craft were sent on a long mission to fly by the outer planets of our solar system to gather information and eventually pass out of the heliosphere and become the first man-made crafts to send back information from beyond the solar system. And here are the 10 most insane space discoveries made by the Voyager spacecraft. The rings of Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune. After the launch, astronomers were excited to be able to see the rings of Saturn up close for the first time. But they were not expecting to also find rings on 3 more planets further out in the solar system. It shocked astronomers to learn that the largest planet in our solar system, Jupiter, had a thin planetary ring. They believed that this ring is a remnant from its earlier days closer to the birth of the planet. As the crafts moved past the inner planets out to the ice giants of Uranus and Neptune, there were more planetary rings for them to find. Voyager 2 was able to get snapshots showing 2 new rings around Uranus, which is now known to have 13 different rings. For the first time, Voyager allowed astronomers to see that Neptune does have planetary rings. There are actually 5 distinct rings around Neptune. Astronomers believe that these rings are fairly young and extend as far out as 62,000 kilometers from its core. Storms raging on Jupiter. In one of the earlier flybys, Voyager was able to capture pictures of Jupiter that showed its raging storms in all of their magnificent glory. Jupiter is a giant planet made up of primarily gases that swirl in massive storms covering the surface of the planet. Voyager was able to document the very first lightning strikes recorded off the Earth's surface, which confirmed that many features of our planet can be found throughout the universe. This wouldn't be the last time that one of the Voyager crafts would catch a glimpse of something familiar to us, but it would not be on a planet, but a moon. So many moons in the solar system. New rings were not the only new planetary companions that Voyagers 1 and 2 discovered. These 2 missions also revealed how many moons are actually in our solar system. Between Voyagers 1 and 2, over 20 new moons were discovered orbiting 4 planets in our solar system. On Voyager 1's trip around Jupiter, it discovered 2 new moons in orbit, and while Voyager 2 made its trip, another one of Jupiter's many moons was found. And when they made their trips by Saturn, 3 of its now 53 confirmed moons were spotted. As the crafts approached the outer planets of the solar system, they made their way by Uranus and Neptune, locating 10 new moons around Uranus and 5 new moons orbiting Neptune. Active volcanoes on Io. Of all the moons that were found during the Voyager missions, there are several that stood out above the rest. As Voyager 1 made its way by Jupiter, it was able to take pictures of its moon in more detail than ever before. The pictures that Voyager took showed that one of Jupiter's moons, Io, had a feature that had not been seen outside of Earth. The images showed astronomers that Io has the very first volcano seen beyond our planet. Astronomers now believe that Io may have more than 400 active volcanoes across its surface, with eruptions reaching temperatures over 1,300 degrees Celsius. Geysers on Triton. Voyager 2 was able to study Neptune's biggest moon, Triton, up close during its flyby of the planet. It took breathtaking images of Triton's surface that helped astronomers understand more about its companion. The craft also discovered a geyser shooting out of its polar cap. This geyser was shooting icy matter over 8 kilometers in the air in the frigid temperature of nearly 235 degrees below 0 Celsius. Nitrogen-rich Titan. When Voyager made its way through the solar system, it kept finding more moons that were more exciting than the last. Astronomers have thought that one of Saturn's moons, Titan, had an atmosphere of some kind. But it wasn't until Voyager was able to visit Titan on a flyby mission that they were able to confirm this theory. Turns out that Titan has an atmosphere rich in nitrogen and other gases like hydrogen and methane, along with rivers and lakes of liquid methane across the surface of the moon. Some scientists believe that an atmosphere like this could provide the building blocks for life, and some believe that life could be hiding somewhere on Titan's surface. The oceans of Europa. Io was not the only one of Jupiter's moons that held a special discovery for Voyager to make. Another one of Jupiter's moons, Europa, turned out to have some interesting features as well that the Voyager crafts were able to discover as they sped by. Beneath its icy frozen surface, both Voyager crafts were able to detect giant oceans of water. However, there is still debate as to the state of the oceans on Europa. Some believe that tidal heating would provide enough energy to allow the ocean to contain liquid water, while others believe that the ocean is more of an icy slush. The magnetic field in interstellar space. Not only were Voyager 1 and 2 supposed to gather more information about the distant planets in our solar system, they were going to be the first spacecraft to send back information as they passed the heliopause. The heliopause is the boundary to the heliosphere, which is essentially a giant bubble barrier around our solar system. It's created where the stellar winds blowing outward from our Sun meet the stellar winds blowing in from interstellar space. A number of interesting findings were discovered in this region of space, but there was one that shocked astronomers. When Voyager 1 passed through the heliopause, astronomers noticed that as the direction of the stellar winds changed, the direction of the magnetic field did not. They were unsure if this was just due to an instrument malfunction or if the readings were true until Voyager 2 sent back the same information as it passed through the heliopause itself. The magnetic field outside the heliopause is aligned with the magnetic field within. Took readings